inside the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby, Ontario. The Brooklin Lacrosse Club looking to make it 3 consecutive wins in a row, but they have to go up against the top team in Major Series Lacrosse in the Six Nations Chiefs. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Jack Moore and Andrew Osmond along with you. And Andrew, Brooklyn has to feel really good coming into this game about their performance in their last 2 home games before they head out on a 4-game road trip. But they play a juggernaut in the Six Nations Chiefs here today.
Yeah, they're going to be up for the task, though. They've had 2 games so far head-to-head. Both teams taking a win at home. Both of those games only won by 1 goal apiece. So Brooklyn, if you're looking at this one, you're looking, saying, hey, we got the top team, Six Nations Chiefs here, back in our barn where we already beat them once by 1 goal. As we take a look at the standings here, and you'll see that Six Nations right on the top there. Brooklyn, though, slowly climbing, eventually has been able to leapfrog Cobourg in those standings, does have a game in hand against Cobourg, the Cobourg Kodiaks, and has the least game played as well in this MSL season, as we're about midway through now in the season, and Brooklyn's got a chance to kind of keep catching up. Might be a tough task to play Peterborough, but they still have some games to face head-to-head for the rest of this year, and a couple chances to gain some points advantage there. Against Peterborough to maybe get the 2nd seed, but here tonight they're just worried about Six Nations and getting the win here at home. Roster
turnover, different players playing in the lineup for Brooklyn has been a big thing for this team so far this year, but they've been able to stay competitive, stay in big games against Peterborough, against Six Nations, and they have an opportunity to do that again here today with some newer guys in the lineup, some young guys, and guys who are ready to take that step and propel into a big spot in Major Series Lacrosse.
Yeah, we've talked about him before this season, Zach Harrigan, one of those young guys, a guy like Kyle Waters, a veteran big presence for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, not in the lineup tonight, so you'll look maybe for Zach Harrigan to step up once again like he did earlier this season. Brooklyn, 4 wins on the year, 2 of those games coming in overtime, so they get through in the clutch when it matters most. They're able to do that, keep those tight games tight, and then when it matters and they need that goal, they've been able to do that.
We'll take a look at the head-to-head matchup between these 2 teams, and you take a look at it here. Of course, the records speak for itself. 3 games in hand for Six Nations, the goals per game going by way of Six Nations, but the big thing coming into this one for Brooklyn is the power play opportunities and how well they play once they get on the power play and once they go short-handed.
Yeah, well, Brooklyn on the year only taken 57 penalty minutes compared to Six Nations 145. And on the man advantage, Brooklyn has scored 15 power play goals and only allowed 4 against on the power play, whereas Six Nations, they're even 19 and 19 for power play goals for and power play goals against. So Six Nations doesn't look to have an upper hand in that side, whereas Brooklyn, you look to, if they have a power play, they have a chance to extend a lead or get a lead and get back in a game here tonight.
Jordy Jones-Smith and Randy Stotts doing the ceremonial face-off before this one with a group of young Whitby Warriors players on the floor, and we'll take you down to the floor for the national anthem before the start of this game.
And now would you please rise to the playing of tonight's national anthem.
Getting you set for the opening face-off between Six Nations and Brooklyn here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby, Ontario. Six Nations comes in as the top team in Major Series Lacrosse at 8-2. Let's take a look at the starting goaltender, starting with the Six Nations Chiefs. Andrew.
For Six Nations, it's going to be Warren Hill getting the start tonight, and Dustin Hill, the brother, will be back up the hills. No stranger to the Six Nations squad, so not surprised here to see Warren Hill getting the start here in Brooklyn tonight. Other end of the floor, it's Riley Hutchcraft, the guy who's been rather hot lately, coming off 2 straight wins for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, who's going to own the pipes once again here for the 3rd time in a row, and we will possibly, most likely, see him as the #1 goaltender moving forward for the rest of this MSL season.
Getting you set for face-off at center floor. Brooklyn trying to string together 3 wins in a row for the first time this season. They've won back-to-back games. They both came on home floor. This is their final home game as the clock is actually moving up instead of down. So they have to readjust that before they get things going here. Brooklyn will head on a 4-game road trip after this. They have the clock settings set to counting up instead of down.
Yeah.
It's causing a bit of a problem at the start of this game, but we'll get things reset.
And we'll try to reset the clock here. As we'll mention, it's Scott McMichael annual night here in Whitby. So lots of kids in attendance today. It was free admission for kids wearing their lacrosse jerseys. So you see a lot of Whitby Warrior lacrosse jerseys here. And actually pre-game during warm-up, really interesting and neat to see a local team here in Whitby got to be on the floor during pregame warm-ups, playing catch with a couple of these star players. Some of them maybe taking a look at Six Nations and noticing a guy, Lyle Thompson, on the floor with them. Quite a special moment for these Whitby Warrior kids who were on the floor at the start of this game, and they got a nice photo as a team before the start of this game as well. And I'm sure a moment that many of them will remember for quite some time.
Pretty cool moment for a lot of these young kids to be able to, like you said, share the floor with a number of really, really good lacrosse players, and that's a bit of an understatement. Some of the best in the world.
And we'll explain why. This is a tease for the future. We'll tell you why a little later on.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more as the broadcast goes on. Of course, the head coach of Six Nations, one of the best to ever do it, and John Tavares, who last time Six Nations was here, it was Brooklyn getting the victory. That was on a Wednesday night. On the Saturday night, his Buffalo Bandits team won the NLL championship, and a couple other guys competing for championships as well. As we take a look at the Six Nations Chiefs returning a number of guys from the World Championships for Haudenosaunee. Still having some issues with the clock here. But a number of players able to go and play at the World Lacrosse Championships for the Haudenosaunee. Lyle Thompson, of course, 13 goals, 19 points. Look at Austin Stotts, 30 goals in 8 games for the Haudenosaunee, who ended up beating Australia in the bronze medal game, Canada winning silver or losing the gold medal game to the United States. But a strong showing for a number of these players. All of these players in the lineup here today, except for Jerry Stotts for Six Nations, and those championship games were played just on Saturday, so the ability to come back, a number of these guys for Six Nations played last night as well in their 11-4 win over Brampton. So these guys get on a plane on Sunday, they get home, and they don't have a lot of time before they're back in game action, and they pick up a big win yesterday as well. Yeah,
and they'll look to obviously get a win here today. Something we didn't mention, that both teams are coming off wins, and both of them, too, the Brampton Excelsiors, who have played 12 games in their season back here in the MSL, as they look to get the clock going. Looks like they have things correct, and we're going to start with the ball in the Brooklyn zone, and I'm going to assume with a fresh shot clock for Six Nations. As that's the case, they will plead as we're ready to get underway. Part 2.
Yeah, right as they blew the whistle, Randy Stotts was walking in unimpeded, and Austin Stotts not too happy about the quick whistle. But the horn was going, and we're back underway. Lyle Thompson Works this one off, and Six Nations trying to get something going, and they do. Austin Stotts staying hot. He had 30 in the World Lacrosse Championships. He had 1 goal and 6 assists last night, and he gets Six Nations on the board early in this one, just 16 seconds in.
Well, he's coming off 2 goals and 2 assists yesterday against Brampton, and he stays hot once again here with his first goal of the night. As we see a look there from Riley Hutchcraft letting that one go in, but here you'll see the play, and just on the right side of your screen is where you'll see the ball come in. He gets the pass right there all alone, right with no coverage at all. And Austin Stotts opens the scoring very early on in this game.
First shot, first goal for Six Nations. They're looking for more after they forced a turnover after Brooklyn had won the faceoff. Lyle Thompson behind his back to former Brooklyn Lacrosse Club member Ryan Lanchbury, but he couldn't haul that one in. And away goes Cody Hamley. Connor Kiernan stepped into Austin Stotts, and his stick snapped in half, and not happy as he was going to the bench. Had a goal already in this one. And then that stick breaks, so it doesn't last too long. Used all the magic up, and Bombury brings it up the floor for Charles Tommy Scanlon. Eric Fennell onto the floor as well. Lyle Thompson will pick up and work it around. Randy Stotts gets the screen from LeClaire. Stotts flips it in for LeClaire in front of the net. Stopped by Hutchcraft, and the rebound picked up by Quinn Highland. Jordy Jones-Smith will start it in transition for Brooklyn. Still looking for their first shot against Warren Hill in this one. Sean Wesley steps in. Now Kiernan stopped by Hill, and the rebound picked up by the Chiefs. Tim Edwards brings it up the floor and settles things down as Jackson fresh off the bench. Shane Jackson with a goal and an assist yesterday. Lyle Thompson off to Jackson. Works it up top. Jackson gets it back, and he scores. Shane Jackson makes it 2-0 for the Six Nations Chiefs, his 10th of the year. And we're just 2 minutes, 10 seconds into this one.
And you'll see it here as a good offensive play to knock his man to the floor. I believe it was Ben McDonald that got shoved to the floor there, which opened up this little bit of a 2-on-1 there on the far side and led to that goal there for the second of the game for Six Nations. And that's where we stand now, 2-0 here early on, really quickly here.
Jeremy Thompson wins it to his brother Lyle. Jeremy at the World Lacrosse Championships didn't have any points, but he was a face-off specialist, went 48 of 128 on face-offs. Played in all 8 games for the Haudenosaunee. His Lyle Thompson's shot gets stopped by Hutchcraft. An offensive foul against Six Nations will give it to Brooklyn. Jack Boyden. 3 goals and an assist on the season so far. He's been good since stepping into the lineup in the last 2 games for Brooklyn. Behind the back pass, Pilcher steps in, stopped by Hill. It's going to remain Brooklyn ball as it goes into the protective meshing above the Six Nations net. Tyler Goodchild works it around. Brooklyn looking for a response. Boyden steps in, being forced back to the corner. Connor Kiernan can't control the pass, and away goes Six Nations, and that's over and back against Brooklyn. Kyle Rubish picks up and works it off to Eric Fennell. As Austin Stotts streaking in, pass was high, and it gets taken away by Brooklyn. Keenan Cook has a man streaking to the net. It's Zach Kerrigan, stopped by Warren Hill, and he traps down the rebound. Big save there for the Six Nations goaltender. Now a chance is Stotts streaking in. That one shouldered away by Hutchcraft, and Stotts went crashing into the end boards. Now Brooklyn quickly back the other way as Stotts slow to get up to his feet back in the Brooklyn zone. Now a chance driving in. Quick pass. Pilcher shouldered away by Hill, and it goes out of play. So Warren Hill hadn't been tested in the early going of this one, but gets a few shots consecutively and stands up to the task. Brady Kiernan. Cross floor pass, and that one gets stopped by Hill again. Acrobatic save once again from the Six Nations goaltender with Sean Wesley going to the net.
Yeah, Brooklyn able to get in tight so far and trying to go up high over Warren Hill. Don't know if they have something on, but we'll see if it works.
Lyle Thompson up top, gets the screen, fires one wide, and that one gets picked up by Nolan Ruddy. Knocked out of his cradle, but picked up again by Justin Bragg, and away goes Kerrigan with some speed. Kerrigan to the net, stopped by Warren Hill. Devin Hill doing all that he can to knock that ball free away from Kerrigan. Not too deep into this one, but you can sense some frustration from Brooklyn already with some great chances, but some bigger saves from Warren Hill. Chiefs setting it up. Lyle Thompson fires and scores. He had 2 goals and 2 assists yesterday, and he gets his first of the night, his 15th of the season. 4 minutes, 37 seconds in, it's 3-0 Chiefs.
And he grabs this feed, and what does one of the best lacrosse players of all time do? Picks the corner over Riley Hutchcraft and makes no mistake. The exact size of that ball was all that was available, and Lyle Thompson is going to be the guy that fits it right in there like a glove.
Perfect angle to see it on that replay. Just that top corner that he picked against Riley Hutchcraft, and yes, it was a big hit. Delivered by Brooklyn. And they'll get the ball back in their own zone and regroup. Some good defense being played by Tyson Bell in his own zone. Devin Piper was knocked down hard to the floor as Pilcher fires a shot that gets shouldered away by Hill again. Now a pass in front of the net, and that one gets knocked away from Brady Kiernan, and Six Nations will bring it back up the floor. Austin Stotts driving in, has Lanchbury, decides to hold it himself, gets checked by Nolan Ruddy. Austin Stotts, pass off to Lanchbury, and he can't control it. Picked up in the corner by Randy Stotts. Physicality picking up defensively for both teams, and that time Ben McDonnell able to find the loose ball back in the Brooklyn zone. Brooklyn can't get anything going as they go into the offensive end, so Six Nations takes it right back. Austin Stotts works this one back to Brendan Bombury. Lyle Thompson gets the screen, steps in, holds, fires it off to the corner for Stotts, back to Bombury. Bombury into the middle, checked immediately. Now a cross-floor pass, and a pass in front of the net for Jackson. That gets stopped by Riley Hutchcraft. Good ball movement there by Six Nations, but a big save from the Brooklyn goaltender to keep this a 3-goal game early. Offensive end of the floor, Brooklyn trying to get it done, and Boyden's shot shouldered away by Hill. Goes into the protective meshing and out of play, so it'll be Brooklyn ball on the restart in the near corner. Pilcher gives it back to Kerrigan. Works it cross-floor for Boyden. Jack Boyden stepping away from the defender. Squeaks through Hill, but it gets trapped down in the crease by Jeremy Thompson. And Six Nations able to keep that one out of the net. Randy Stotts into the corner for Sam LeClaire. Out to the far wall for Eric Fennell. Fennell in front of the net. Lanchbury finds it in behind the Brooklyn goal. Feeds it out in front. LeClaire. Penalty coming up to Brooklyn as Trent Boyd thought he might have had a step for a breakaway, but Six Nations will go to the first power play of the game. And they might be taking two.
No.
It might be Randy Stotts going as well.
It looks like it's just Six Nations actually here. And not sure if it's to do with his equipment actually, or if he's complaining because he's like, how else is my chin strap undone if I didn't get hit up high? Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a Brooklyn power play, and we talked about it, 15 power play goals on the season. They average 2.1 power play goals a game. So they'll set up here with the Kernan brothers on.
Brady Kiernan flipped into the corner as Kiernan in front of the net, couldn't find it, rolls off to the near boards, and Jack Boyden picks up. Flips this one off as, that was Pilcher finding Boyden. Connor Kiernan shoots. That one gets stopped by Hill, and the rebound picked up by Six Nations. Now a turnover. Brady Kiernan, he works that one off, but it gets knocked away by Six Nations, and Jeremy Thompson picks up the loose ball. Now that pass is tipped down the floor. Lyle Thompson able to scoop it up at center floor. Six Nations will slow things down as Kellen LeClaire just gives it to Lyle Thompson, who shovels it off to Austin Stotts. It's like having a fullback out there in football can drive in himself. Austin Stotts with one hand gets stopped by Riley Hutchcraft. Making it look a little too easy. Wasn't happy that there was no call. 54 seconds to go in the Brooklyn power play. Connor Kiernan out there with Sean Wesley and Jack Boyden. Brady Kiernan out there as well. And Luke Pilcher. Kiernan flips this one back to Boyden. Down low to Wesley off the end boards. 5 to shoot for Brooklyn. They need something here on net. Wesley steps in and he scores! Sean Wesley at the end of the shot clock gets his first of the season. It's a power play goal and Brooklyn is on the board.
Sean Wesley power play goal gets Brooklyn their first goal of the game as he was down in the shot clock and away in the corner. Knew he had to get to the front of that net, get a shot on there just to have another opportunity on the power play with the ball in the offensive zone, and he makes no mistake and actually gets it in the net. So maybe a bit more than he was bargaining for on that play. He'll take it, the first goal of the game for Brooklyn in this fast-paced one here early on in the first.
Jeremy Thompson with another face-off win on the ensuing face-off. Tyson Bell does a nice play to keep it in bounds, or keep it from going over and back, as Lyle Thompson controlling it now. He goes up top. That shot goes wide from Jackson, and the rebound picked up by Jack Travassos. Now here goes Brooklyn in transition. Over the top, Hamley, he missed the net, and it goes into the rafters and out of play, so it'll be Six Nations ball. Austin Stotts fresh off the bench. Avoids Jordy Jones-Smith, and his pass for Charles Tommy Scanlon goes high. Sam LeClaire steps in, stopped by Hutchcraft, and the rebound corralled by Josh Taguri. So now Trent Boyd starts in transition for Brooklyn. 10.5 to go in period number 1. 3-1 Six Nations lead. Highland feeds it in for Boyd, but unable to find him. Six Nations finds the rebound. Now Randy Stotts streaking in, has a step, shoots it high, goes off the back of the Brooklyn net as Travassos tries to knock it free. Stotts picks up and Six Nations sets up on offense. Randy Stotts has Lansbury in front of the net, gets the screen from Thompson, a little too hard on the push. As Travassos goes down to the floor, it's Brooklyn ball. Justin Bragg back up the floor for Brooklyn. John Wesley, lone goal scorer for Brooklyn in this one. Feeds it off, Brady Kernan lost it on the cradle, and away goes Six Nations in transition. A bounce pass for Bell. Lost it in transition, and Jordy Jones-Smith back up the floor for Brooklyn. Luke Pilcher fresh off the bench, driving into the net, and Jones-Smith will work this one back for Brady Kiernan. Pilcher feeds it down low. Behind the back shot gets stopped by Warren Hill. That was off the stick of Brady Kiernan. And nothing Brooklyn can get done offensively in that offensive possession. Randy Stotts steps in, fires, Hutchcraft to save, and the rebound picked up by Brooklyn. Now away goes Brooklyn in transition. Quinn Highland slows it down. Wesley off the bench. Tyler Goodchild out there with Devin Pfeiffer. Wesley passes it in front of the net for Kerrigan. Gets picked up by Goodchild up top for Kiernan. Now into the middle. Wesley fires. That gets stopped by Warren Hill. And he swallows up the rebound. Tyson Bell gets the restart, and his pass intended for Ryan Lansbury gets taken away by Trent Boyd. Now Boyd quickly in transition as Brooklyn has some numbers early. They'll settle it down and work it into the corner with 20 on the shot clock. Luke Pilcher over the top. That shot gets blocked by Bombury. Bounces into the Six Nations crease, and Six Nations will slow it down. Kellen LeClaire steps over center. Eric Fennell Avoids the defender in Justin Bragg as Lanchbury gets it off to Randy Stotts. Getting the screen from Lyle Thompson. Now that shot gets stopped by Riley Hutchcraft. And a battle between Shane Jackson and Justin Bragg in front of the net, but Brooklyn comes away with the ball, and Ben McDonnell flips this one back for Sean Wesley. Wesley gets the screen from Pfeiffer. Now pass in front of the net as two Brooklyn players go crashing down to the floor, and the rebound gets picked up off the corner by Kyle Rubich. Shade over 7 minutes to go in period number 1. Austin Stotts back the other way offensively for Six Nations. Stotts driving to the net, gets forced into the corner. Back to Thompson, and that one gets, no, it didn't get knocked down by Trent Boyd, and I believe Nolan Ruddy is going to get a penalty here for his defensive play on Austin Stotts in the corner. So Ruddy off to the penalty box. Stotts still chirping away at him. We'll get our goalies to the bench for a water break, and then Six Nations is going to the power play.
And we'll give you a break as well to grab some water after that long spurt of activity, and it was just off the screen there where the penalty would have occurred. So we'll get a power play here for Six Nations, their first one of the game. And you saw it there at the end is Tommy Scanlon faking at Ruddy a little bit to try to get him to bite a little bit more, and then I think it was Six Nations bench yelling to leave it because they already got the call. And we're underway for Six Nations' first power play of tonight's game.
Lyle Thompson up top, setting up his Austin Stotts pass knocked down. He gets it back himself through traffic, and he shoots it wide. Rebound picked up by Thompson. Quick shot off the pass, but it misses the net. No, sorry, it hit Hutchcraft, so a shot clock restart. That time, Hutchcraft made the save and picked up the rebound. Immediately on the ball and forcing the turnover with Six Nations, Ben McDonnell. Hit by 3 Six Nations players, and Austin Stotts getting the negative side of it, just fired a shot right at Jordy Jones-Smith.
And he's mouthing off to the ref right now. He's got to be careful.
Randy Stotts now. 10 to shoot for the Chiefs. Behind the back pass, stopped by Hutchcraft. Thompson behind the back to Stotts. Down low, LeClaire scores. 4-1 Six Nations. Sam LeClaire's 5th of the season, his first of tonight's game, and Six Nations responds with a power play goal of their own.
So both power plays successful, batting 100 so far here. A nice behind the back pass by Lyle Thompson to get it down low. Another behind the back pass right there from Randy Stotts, gets it down low to Sam LeClaire, and he goes short side over Riley Hutchcraft to make it a 4-1 lead for Six Nations.
They poured it on early, and then Brooklyn got one back, but Six Nations responds with a power play marker of their own. Battle in front of the benches, and Brooklyn will come away with the ball, so Justin Bragg goes off to the bench. Jack Boyden onto the floor. Devin Pfeiffer works it off to Brady Kiernan. Now off to Boyden. Into the middle, the ball bounces to the end boards. Zach Kerrigan couldn't pick it up after a good defensive play by Kyle Rubich. Six Nations back up the floor and setting up offensively. Brendan Bombury playing the transition game as Lanchbury off to Bombury, bounces off the stick of Quinn Highland, and Hutchcraft was able to find that one. Trent Boyd back up the floor. Tyler Goodchild. 20 to shoot for Brooklyn. Trying to get an even strength goal for the first time here tonight. Devin Pfeiffer goes down low as Goodchild works this one off. Pass cross floor. Wesley in front for Pilcher, couldn't find it. Jeremy Thompson picks it up off the boards and regroups for Six Nations. That was at the end of the shot clock anyway for Brooklyn. Sam LeClaire has the 4th goal for Six Nations in this one. The power play marker for the Chiefs was Lyle Thompson. Up top for Jackson. Jackson gets the screen from Fennell. Now Thompson up top. Thompson steps away from the defender, shoots. Hutchcraft makes the save. Rebound picked up, but turned over by Brooklyn. Fennell slows things down as Thompson was in a battle with Keenan Cook in front of the Brooklyn net. Lost his glove, got it back. Lanchbury off to Stotts. His shot deflected away by the right hand of Hutchcraft, and Randy Stotts gets it back. Gets some pushing and shoving in front of the Brooklyn net. Charles Tommy Scanlon in the middle of it.
He's in it once again. He's not afraid. He's not going to back down. Are they going to?
I don't think they're going to let them go.
It looked like they were squaring up for a sec.
Keenan Cook at the other end of it. Tommy Scanlon still giving it to Keenan Cook as he goes to the Brooklyn bench. But it will be Brooklyn ball back from their own end.
I think one thing Six Nations has got to realize, this is a very disciplined team they're playing in Brooklyn. There's a reason why they have less than half the number of penalty minutes than Six Nations does.
That power play goal that Sam LeClaire scored for Six Nations, just the 5th power play goal allowed this year by Brooklyn. Tyler Goodchild into the corner, but knocked down to the floor, and Tim Edwards picks up the loose ball. Tyson Bell will bring it up the floor after picking it up off the bounce. Now with speed, look at him go. Tyson Bell to the net, and he stepped in the crease. It's Brooklyn ball. 0 to 60 real fast for Tyson Bell. Riley Hutchcraft made the save anyhow. Now Boyd trying to do it himself. That one got stopped and deflected away by Six Nations. Fennell, fresh off the bench, gets it from Kellen LeClaire, and Six Nations works it around. Ryan Lanchbury knocked down to the floor, ball rolls in front of the net. LeClaire gets stopped. We're getting a penalty to Brooklyn. Six Nations picks it up and gets the shot clock reset to boot.
Well, Thompson, extra attacker here.
Thompson up top now, behind the back to Lanchbury, into the corner. Now Randy Stotts gets stopped by Riley Hutchcraft. Through his stick to make that one, reaching back with the right hand. Now Ryan Lanchbury flips it down low to Randy Stotts. 2.5 to go in the first period. Delayed penalty to Brooklyn. Lanchbury steps in. That shot gets deflected out of play. And we will finally get the stoppage that sends Ben McDonnell to the penalty box and Six Nations to the power play.
We'll see where that comes up here, as it's going to be a trip, I believe. Ryan Lanchbury goes to the floor as the foot of Ben McDonnell kind of tripped him up a little bit, and he caused Lanchbury to go to the floor. So we'll have the second power play now for Six Nations, successful on their last and first attempt.
Lyle Thompson up top for Six Nations. Pass for Austin Stotts goes awry. Stotts gives it back to Thompson. Randy Stotts. Cross floor off the side of the net. Rebound picked up by Six Nations. No shot clock reset as Austin Stotts working against Jones Smith. Off the end glass, 5 to shoot. Randy Stotts fires. That goes wide and out of play. It's Brooklyn ball on the restart. Connor Kiernan trying to kill off as much time as possible. Works this one back up top. Brady Kiernan. Zach Kerrigan flips it out to the far side of the floor as Brooklyn looking for something. Pilcher's pass goes into the Six Nations bench. And it will be Six Nations ball. Still a minute to go on the power play for the Chiefs. 1:20 to go in period number 1. A 4-1 lead for Six Nations. Ryan Lanchbury works it up top. Jackson's shot goes wide, and this one will be over and back against Six Nations. So Brooklyn gets it back. They'll be able to take this down to about 15 seconds on the penalty clock if they can kill off the entire shot clock here. Tyler Goodchild works it down to Pilcher. Zach Kerrigan off to Goodchild. Back to Devin Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer with the goal and 3 assists so far this year as that shot from Goodchild gets blocked. Picks up the rebound. It went off a Six Nations player, so the shot clock reset, but Goodchild just gave up possession. 10 seconds to go in the power play for Six Nations. 7-second differential between shot clock and game clock. Sam LeClaire couldn't pick it up. Lyle Thompson off the board. Off to Austin Stotts. Now it's Randy Stotts behind the back. LeClaire scores! Second of the game for Sam LeClaire. And with just 19 seconds to go in the first period, it's 5-1 Six Nations.
And a bit of a over-anxious play there by the Brooklyn defender, trying to commit to the interception, gets himself out of play. He seemed just trying to catch up there, but too late as Sam LeClaire gets the 5th goal of the game for Six Nations. 5-1 lead here with 19 seconds left in the first.
Time for one more possession. And Jack Travassos won the faceoff, but it rolls off to the boards, and Tyson Bell picks it up and gets the timeout. So timeout Six Nations with 12.5 seconds to go in the period. And they get the final shot of the opening frame with a 4-goal lead already, Andrew.
And they're going to look to make it 6 now here after this timeout. You can probably assume Warren Hill will be on the bench, so they will have an extra attacker as they look over their play. But a big stop here is needed for Brooklyn. It's already 5-1. You don't want to go down. You don't want to be down 5-1 anyway, but you really don't want to be down 6-1 to Six Nations with 2 full periods to go. And they got their big guys on the floor. Six Nations does, in the Stotts brothers, as well as Lyle Thompson.
Sam LeClaire, who already has 2. Jackson already has 1 in this one, which was his 10th of the season. And then Eric Fennell rounds out the 6 on the floor here for the Chiefs. 12.5 seconds to go in period number 1. Shot clock is off. 6 on the floor for the Chiefs with the empty net, trying to make it a 5-goal lead going into the intermission. Randy Stotts. Off to Austin Stotts. His shot missed the net, and that will end period number 1. The Six Nations Chiefs struck early and often in that opening frame. Aside from a Brooklyn power play goal, it was really all Six Nations in period number 1, and the score indicates that.
Yeah, the score indicates that. The effort at the end there to win that draw, call that timeout to really try to get another goal in the last 12 seconds of the first period just shows the effort for every play for Six Nations right now.
The Chiefs get on the board first. They get on the board last in that opening frame. 5-1 they lead over the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club through 20 minutes of play here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center. We will have your first intermission coming up for you after the break. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV. Welcome back inside the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby, Ontario. 5-1, Six Nations leads the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club through 20 minutes of play. He's Andrew Osmond. I'm Jack Moore. Delighted to be with you on this Wednesday night from Whitby. Andrew, we talked about the big matchup that was coming into the game for Brooklyn into this one. The best team in Major Series Lacrosse, getting all their players back from the World Championships, and they proved why they're going to be probably the toughest out in this league this season in that first 20 minutes of play.
Well, those first 20 minutes definitely outline why this team is at the top of the standings, not just the numbers on paper, but we talked about it as we went to break there. You know, it's the toughness on the Six Nations team, just running through every play they can, fighting hard at the end of the period there. You know, there's 20 seconds left in the period. They're going to fight to win that opening draw, call that timeout, draw up another play, try to get their 6th goal. Not successful, obviously, as we stand at a 5-1 lead for Six Nations, but it's just that effort in every single play. You already have that 5-1 lead. You got all your big names back. but you're still fighting for the loose ball off a face-off there at the end of a first period when you have that big lead, and have only allowed 1 goal, and it came on the power play. So just the effort and the toughness from the Six Nations team is what's standing out to me in terms of why they're at the top of the standings, but why the game is where it is right now.
Yeah, big first period from Six Nations as we take a look at the highlights from period number 1, and really it was right off the jump that they got on the board just 16 seconds in getting this one.
Yeah, after a bit of a tough clock situation there that kind of stalled the start of the game. Yeah, it's Austin Stotts getting his first goal of this game here right there, and then working the ball around a little bit down low. A nice bank shot there is Shane Jackson that gets the second goal of the game, and keep working it around here. And a nice shot there, picking the corners, Lyle Thompson. And then here, taking a look at the dribbling ball there right behind the goaltender, Warren Hill. And picking it up there was the Six Nations defender. That was the best chance for Brooklyn at that point. And then coming back the other way, we see Sam LeClaire with his first goal of the game. And then he will get a second goal on the night as well. And that's where we stand, 5-1. The 1 goal, though, coming for Brooklyn in that period was Sean Wesley on the power play.
So if you're Coach Crosby, what's your message to this Brooklyn Lacrosse team in the dressing room at the intermission to try and get them going here in period number 2?
I think what it is, and it might not be the popular opinion, but I think it's really just stay with it. It's like what Brooklyn is doing really, really well so far is not backing down, not biting into the chance. We see Tommy Scanlon trying to bait a couple calls there, using his words to try to encourage a bit of a punch after the whistle to draw a penalty against Brooklyn, and they're not biting. They're standing up to these big guys. We've seen Austin Stotts a few times just run through defenders, but the defenders are getting right back up, getting right back into play, not backing down. Austin Stotts was hot in that period for taking a couple whacks up high and in the face and in the mask. So Brooklyn's really, really fighting back. They're not backing down. They're standing tall here, and I think that's what, if you're Jason Crosby, that's what you're looking for. You're getting your shots on net. Shots are 15-13 in favor of Six Nations after the first period of play. So they are getting their shots on net. They're not being outshot by any wide margin either. They're getting in tight to the net, trying to go up top on Warren Hill wasn't working. Zach Kerrigan's had a couple breakaways. They're getting their offensive looks. They just really have to capitalize. So if Jason Crosby's in there, I'm sure he's saying stick with it. I know we only have 1 goal on the board, and it came on the power play, not even strength. But just stay with it. We're going to get our chances. We'll find the back of the net eventually.
You touched on a really good point there that we really didn't talk much about in that first period, but that was the play of Warren Hill in the net for Six Nations. 12 saves on 13 shots. He was unbelievable, especially early once Brooklyn, about 3 minutes in, started to get their footing. They had a flurry of chances, and Warren Hill made every save to keep Six Nations in the lead, and now have a 4-goal advantage heading into period number 2.
Yeah, and there's a wide variety of saves, too, from Warren Hill. It was up top for a few times there from Brooklyn, and then they changed things up. Shots from outside going right down low, and Warren Hill really had to stretch out almost in the splits to make a couple stops, and on a few of them really, kind of sold himself out there, and the ball would miss the net, so the save wasn't needed, but he's having to put a lot of effort in just to keep the ball out of the net, and he's doing a good job so far, just allowing 1 goal that came on the power play.
Brooklyn came into this one on a 2-game winning streak, their first winning streak of the season. They lost 1-1-1 all the way to a 3-3 record. Then they won to make themselves 3-3 after starting 2-3. Then they won last week, trying to go to 5-3, but they have a hill to climb here against the Six Nations Chiefs, down 5-1 at the end of the first period of play. The Six Nations team has only lost 2 games so far this year. One of them here, 11-10 in overtime against the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. The other one was a 9-8 loss to the Peterborough Lakers. This is a team who knows how to get it done. They were getting it done without their big guys who are away with Haudenosaunee at the World Lacrosse Championships, and they're getting it done now that those guys are back, and they're looking to cruise into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, and they're trying to pick up the win here today. We'll be back with the second period after the break. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV. Six Nations leads the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club through 20 minutes of play at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby. Jack Murray, Andrew Osmond with you on Rogers TV as both teams make their way onto the floor for period number 2. And like you said, Andrew, in that intermission, if you're Brooklyn, message needs to be stick with it. You played well enough, but take advantage of those opportunities when they present themselves.
Yeah, and the thing is, it is a 5-1 lead, but those goals that came from Six Nations were well-earned goals is the other thing, too. Maybe a couple of them, one of them was a defensive lapse, one was on the power play or the penalty kill if you're in Brooklyn's point of view. But other than that, it was really just great passing from Six Nations, something that you can't fault your own team almost. It's just the quality of these guys on Six Nations resulting in a couple of those goals. So you are in it. You are in the game. Shots are fairly even 15-13. So, yeah, stick with it, and we'll see what comes in this second period.
Battle for the loose ball, and Jack Travassos able to find it for Brooklyn. And he'll work it up the floor for Connor Kiernan, trying to get something going early. Drives to the net, forced away by Brendan Bombury. Kiernan works this one off to Brady Kiernan. Steps in, fires. Warren Hill makes the save, and the rebound picked up by Kyle Rubish. Rubish, fresh off the benches. Charles Tommy Scanlon gets the bounce pass to Randy Stotts. Stotts flips it to Ryan Lansbury. His shot stopped by Riley Hutchcraft. Rebound picked up by Randy Stotts on a shot clock reset for Six Nations. So Tim Edwards, who came flying out of the bench, has to step back on so Austin Stotts can step on. That shot was turned away by Hutchcraft. And another rebound picked up. This time it's Eric Finnell. Lansbury steps in off the post. That bounces wide. And Nolan Ruddy will start the breakout for Brooklyn. John Wesley in front of the net. It's Josh Taguri. Works this one off to Tyler Goodchild. With Pilcher. Steps off the bench. Connor Kiernan. Off to Wesley. Wesley up top to Goodchild. Flips that one off. Now it's Kerrigan over the top. That one missed the net. And the rebound picked up by Wesley, who will just fire it back in, so Six Nations gets the restart down at their own net instead of up near center floor. Ben McDonnell with some good press defense there on Tim Edwards as Lyle Thompson gets the pass off to the corner. Midway through the shot clock here for Six Nations. Austin Stotts drives in himself, and Travassos is going to be called for a penalty if Six Nations can't score, and Stotts' shot gets deflected into the meshing end of the play. So cross-checking call going against Jack Travassos. 2 minutes, 10 seconds into period number 2. Will send Six Nations to their third power play of the game. They're 1 for 2 so far.
And it's that big body of Austin Stotts running through a couple defenders, McDonnell and then Travassos getting called there for that cross-check. And then trying to swoop around was Austin Stotts to try to one-hand that one in, but here we have a third power play look for Six Nations.
Randy Stotts up top, his shot goes wide, and this one will bounce out of play. If it hadn't though, it would have been over and back against Six Nations, so pick your poison, it's Brooklyn ball. And just trying to settle it down here and kill off as much time as possible. Kiernan. Off for Pilcher. Sorry, that was Boyden. Connor Kiernan. Gets it from Brady. Kiernan with 5 to shoot. Throws it on net. Hill makes the save, and he'll stretch the floor with this pass. Now a chance for Six Nations, but the shot can't get away as Brendan Bombury just lost it as he was trying to transition to a shot on goal.
I don't know if that was something worth doing if you're Six Nations there, trying to run the floor and you miss the ball. And here goes Brooklyn at trying to waste, at this point now, a minute of the power play by the end of it, hopefully, for them.
That pass intended for Wesley gets knocked down, and away goes LeClaire. Works it off to Thompson, who has some time and will settle it down to get the Stotts, who's off the bench. Sam LeClaire and Shane Jackson as well. Lyle Thompson up top. Off to Austin Stotts. His shot goes off the post. No over and back. So Warren Hill will settle it down at the end boards and work it up to mid-floor for Lyle Thompson. Six Nations sets up again on the power play. Thompson steps into one. That one goes wide, and this time it will be over and back. 9 seconds left in the power play for Six Nations. Brooklyn can get this down to 21 seconds on the shot clock. They'll have killed off their second consecutive short-handed attempt. Connor Kiernan. Six Nations now 1 for 3 on the man advantage, but still have a 5-1 lead in this one. Connor Kiernan into the middle, over the top. That one just missed the net on the far side. Remember last week, Brooklyn went 5 for 5 on the penalty kill, killing off 7 of the last 8 penalties that they've faced. But still have an uphill battle here. So we're just over 4.5 minutes into this second period. That ball goes out of play, and who did it deflect off of? They're saying it deflected off of Six Nations. Yeah. Austin Stott's not happy with the call. It's Brooklyn ball.
Yeah, I think it definitely went off Travasos and out of play. And the Brooklyn bench was saying, run the floor, rush the ball, don't let them change their mind.
Tyler Goodchild works it off to Devin Piper, and a penalty coming up here to Six Nations. So Riley Hutchcraft on the bench, 10 to shoot for Brooklyn as they get all 6 attackers on the floor trying to get something going here. Connor Kiernan behind the back, down to the goal line, pass in front of the net for Goodchild, knocked off the ball, and Brooklyn's going to their second power play of the game. The only goal they've scored came on the man advantage in that first period.
Man, it was Sean Wesley with that goal, and this time going to the box. It's going to be Brendan Bombury, who got a stick up high, I believe, on Connor Kiernan. We'll see, or it's that cross check there, actually, up on Travasos as he heads to the floor. Thought there could be another call coming up here as 81 cuts to the center, but nonetheless, they'll get one call. And starting with it will be Luke Pilcher. Maybe one of the kindest Brooklyn players, the number of assists he tallies up.
Pilcher with 4 goals, 12 assists on the season. As Connor Kiernan steps in, a good stretch play with the left foot by Warren Hill to make the save. Loose ball at mid-floor, and McDonnell gets knocked off of it by Leclerc. Now Liam Leclerc trying to kill off some time here with 15 seconds on the shot clock. Steps away from McDonnell. And Leclerc just waiting to kill off this last 5 seconds. Into the corner, and Quinn Highland will bring it back up the floor. Brady Kiernan will settle it down for Brooklyn. Luke Pilcher up top. Off to Connor Kiernan. Behind the back pass, Boyden, cross floor, bounces out of the stick of Zach Kerrigan. Now Tyson Bell with speed in transition. He'll keep it himself, but that play in front of the Six Nations net just indicative of how this night has gone for Brooklyn.
And that was about the second time in about 5 minutes that Brooklyn's had a chance like that in front, and they just can't control the ball for a clear shot on net.
Fennell works it cross floor as the shot clock will expire, as Josh Taguri knocking it away from Lyle Thompson. And Connor Kiernan will settle it down here for Brooklyn. Pilcher back to Brady Kiernan. Rips a shot that gets blocked by Kellen Leclerc and deflects out of play, so it'll be Brooklyn ball. 12 seconds to go in the power play, 13 to shoot. Brady Kiernan off for Boyden, over the top, shouldered away by Warren Hill. Ball rolling to center floor, and keeping it away from the over and back was Brady Kiernan. Now Connor Kiernan. Back to 5-on-5. Wesley, he scores! Sean Wesley gets his second of the game just after the power play had expired. Brooklyn once again brings themselves within 3.
And a smart move by him. Look at it here. He's going to fake the shot there and then opens up the feet in the lane from Warren Hill and goes right between the wickets. As you see Warren Hill bend over to say, how did that one squeak through? I say, well, Sean Wesley faked the pass and you bid a little bit on it and opened up. So 5-2, not a power play goal on that one as the penalty did expire. But the second goal for Brooklyn, we have a 3-goal game here with plenty to go.
So Brooklyn able to take advantage. Brady Kiernan stopped it from going over and back. Sean Wesley converts with his second of the game, second of the season. Randy Wesley Stotts now looking for a response. Fennell's shot right into the chest of Hutchcraft. And Brooklyn back the other way, stretching the floor, 3-on-1. Wesley for the hat trick, works it off Kiernan, and that gets stopped by Hill on the reach across. Big play from the Six Nations goaltender. The advantage of the long change second period, creating those transition opportunities. For Warren Hill making the cross crease save. Lyle Thompson off to Austin Stotts. His shot shouldered away by Hutchcraft. Trent Boyd looking to stretch the floor. In his feet, picks it up. And Boyd will settle it down in the corner.
He just mishandled it there a little bit. Couldn't handle it cleanly.
Tyler Goodchild steps in. Pass cross floor for Wesley. Bounces off the corner, and Kiernan up top for Kerrigan. Connor Kiernan with 10 seconds to shoot. Off to Wesley. Steps away from Lyle Thompson. Wesley fires off the mask of Warren Hill. Picked up by Devin Pfeiffer. Some sustained pressure here in the second period for Brooklyn. Can they do anything with it? Tyler Goodchild to Connor Kiernan. Kiernan flips it off to Pfeiffer. His shot stopped by Hill, and it rolls and settles in the crease as Hill drops to the floor. Lyle Thompson in transition. Keeping it away from Jordy Jones-Smith. Thompson fires a shot that goes wide, and this will be over and back against Six Nations. So Brooklyn gets the restart on the offensive end of the floor. Connor Kiernan's shot gets deflected, never made it to the net. Bombury in transition, works it up the floor quickly. Austin Stotts, he gets stopped by Riley Hutchcraft. Tim Edwards will pick it up on the rebound and flip this one back to Brendan Bombury. Bombury down low for Stotts. Works this one off for Lanchbury. Now it's Charles Tommy Scanlon over the top. Hutchcraft deflects it away. Scanlon again. Off to Austin Stotts with the lane. Stopped by Hutchcraft. Bombury the rebound. Stopped by Hutchcraft. Getting saves at the defensive end of the floor when they need them. Brooklyn needs to pick up a rebound at some point. Now Fennell steps in. He scores. Sustained pressure at the offensive end for Six Nations results in their sixth goal of the game, first of the game for Eric Fennell, and it's 6-2 Chiefs.
And his second goal of the season. You see the pick there. Pushes his man, pushes his defender Bragg away, gets a lane, has the ball, and then beats Hutchcraft on the near side. As soon as that goal went in, Hutchcraft heads to the bench for a bit of water. So both goaltenders taking a bit of a water break here as we've just passed the midway mark of this second period. And then you see Riley Hutchcraft there, also Warren Hill. Exchange pleasantries and head back to the respective nets after some water, as both goaltenders have been very busy this period. And most recently, that man, Riley Hutchcraft, has been the busier of the two. Held Brooklyn in it there for quite a while. And they dropped the ball before Hutchcraft was even facing the right direction.
But just the difference in the ability to sustain and pick up those offensive rebounds and then capitalize and convert. As Austin Stott's shot gets stopped by Hutchcraft, he looks to work it up the floor. Travasos in transition. As Jack Boyden, Austin Stotts throws Travasos down, but Brooklyn still holds on to the ball. Devin Pfeiffer. Travasos off to the Brooklyn bench. 10 to shoot for Brooklyn. Pfeiffer off to Wesley. Now into the corner, Boyden steps in over the top. That one goes wide. Pilcher to the net, stepped in the crease. Warren Hill made the save anyway.
Yeah, chance there for Brooklyn to get a goal back. And it was Pilcher there stepping in the crease and trying to go up high once again on Hill. I haven't seen them succeed at every goal so far. The two goals have been down low. So not sure what they see up high on Warren Hill, Brooklyn does.
Loose ball, Thompson, and foul on the defensive end of the floor for Brooklyn will give a fresh shot clock to the Chiefs. Now Shane Jackson steps in, and this time it's going against Six Nations. Fennell knocked Trent Boyd down to the ground. He and Justin Bragg have been going at it a little bit earlier. Lyle Thompson knocking that ball free from Bragg. Now here's Kellen LeClaire with some speed. He'll settle it down at his own end, and a penalty coming up here against Brooklyn. So Warren Hill off to the bench. Kellen LeClaire flips this one off. Brendan Bombury with 10 seconds to shoot. Randy Stotts up top. Holding, Bombury in front of the net, stopped by Hutchcraft. And Austin Stotts gets the shot clock reset. So even more time to settle it down here. Cross-floor passing goes off the far wall. Lyle Thompson knocked off the ball by Pfeiffer. Unsportsmanlike conduct going against Brooklyn. And Six Nations is to their 4th power play of the game.
And a bit uncharacteristic from Brooklyn here to have more penalties than Six Nations, but yep. There goes Nolan Ruddy to the box once again, second time of the night for him to serve 2 minutes or less. 1 for 3 coming in for Six Nations on the night. They'll have their 4th chance now.
Austin Stotts will set up with Randy. Behind the back pass down to the goal line. Now Lyle Thompson to Austin Stotts. Jackson, quick pass, gets knocked down by McDonnell in his own crease, and he'll bring it up the floor. McDonnell with Taguri in transition. Josh Taguri out to Brady Kiernan, and Brooklyn will settle it down. Two on the ball for Six Nations. Brady Kiernan knocked down to the floor. Loose ball picked up by Kyle Rubish. And away go the Chiefs. Tim Edwards flips this one off. Randy Stotts out there with Austin, Lyle Thompson, Shane Jackson, and Sam LeClaire, who has 2 in this one. Austin Stotts fires a shot that rang iron. Knocked the crossbar and knocked the net almost completely off. Brooklyn finds the loose ball. And an absolute cannon from up top. Unable to go for Six Nations.
And I think Devin Pfeiffer got a stick on that to kind of slow it up a little bit. But yeah, the cannon was definitely coming in on that shot.
Connor Kiernan. 5 to shoot for Brooklyn. Tyler Goodchild, cross floor. Kiernan steps in. That gets stopped by Warren Hill. Ball rolls to the end boards as Bombury tied up Kiernan. And Jeremy Thompson will bring it back up the floor. Shane Jackson. There's 5 seconds left in the power play. We're back to 5-on-5. Austin Stotts over the top. That one gets stopped. Rebound picked up by Brooklyn, and they go away in transition. Now a chance here as Wesley, fresh off the bench, steps into Kiernan, and it gets stopped by Warren Hill. Shot clock reset as Brady Kiernan picks it up off the bench. Now it's Wesley up top. Tried to find Jack Boyden streaking in. Couldn't find that high pass. Travassos knocks it down. Kyle Rubish looking for it as it gets picked up by Connor Kiernan. Now up top, Brady Kiernan steps in, he scores! Brady Kiernan gets one with 4:58 to go in the second. It's a 3-goal game once again for Brooklyn.
Well, after his brother Connor Kiernan had a chance to look skyward, Brady grabs that ball, makes a move, gets around the defender right there, and then gets the shot on net as Warren Hill pushed the net off the moorings a little bit there and gets this game to a 3-goal game once again. Brooklyn hanging in there.
To get some stops, they force Six Nations to 1 of 4 on the power play and then go down the floor, and seems like it's been a tough task tonight beating Warren Hill. Do it for the 3rd time. That shot behind the back, they score. That's for the hat trick. Sam LeClaire put it on the highlight reel, his 7th of the season, and the Chiefs get it right back.
Well, what a way to get that goal back with some flair coming out from behind the net, and surprising Riley Hutchcraft is Sam LeClaire. You'll see it here. Grabs that ball, goes behind the net, turns back, takes the hit, and a no-look, whoop, right there. Over the shoulder of Hutchcraft, makes it 7 goals for Six Nations, making it look easy. Sam LeClaire for that hat-trick goal.
So Sam LeClaire leading the way offensively for Six Nations. And that one a beauty as Fennell works it down low. Six Nations. Randy Stott's shot gets shouldered away by Hutchcraft, so the Chiefs will stay with the ball.
And Sam LeClaire came into tonight's game with 4 goals on the year in 6 games played.
Lyle Thompson into the corner. Now forced in behind the net. Works this one off for Shane Jackson, shouldered away by Hutchcraft. Looking for that top far corner. Austin Stotts off to Jackson. Shane Jackson fires a shot that goes wide. Quinn Highland playing his first game of the season with Brooklyn. Starts the transition with Josh Taguri. John Wesley works it back for Kerrigan. Now here's Connor Kiernan. Devin Pfeiffer. Quick passing. Connor Kiernan tried to go behind the back, but that one missed. And away goes Six Nations in transition. Bombery knocks Jordy Jones-Smith down to the floor. Brooklyn gets it back. Trent Boyd. Cross floor, Connor Kiernan into the middle. He gets checked down to the floor by Jeremy Thompson. Brooklyn still with possession at the offensive end. Connor Kiernan over the top. That shot got blocked in front of the net. Shot clock reset, Brooklyn ball. Off the glass, Connor Kiernan gets the screen behind the back, passing to the corner. Boyd to Goodchild. Brady Kiernan down low. Boyd shot, that missed. And that will be Six Nations ball.
Good offensive threat there from Brooklyn. Down the floor, getting a rebound and moving the ball around quickly, but those defenders for Six Nations, man, they're looking tough, throwing their guys down to the floor and taking them completely out of the play.
Now offensively, Fennell fires a shot and misses wide. Over and back as Taguri chases this one into the corner. We'll get the quick restart. Josh Taguri works it off to Devin Pfeiffer. Into the corner for Kiernan. Brady Kiernan now. Works it off as Kerrigan. Off to Wesley, driving in on Bell. Wesley up top, Brady Kiernan over the top, and Hill makes the save. Under 2 minutes to go in period number 2. 7-3 lead for Six Nations. It was 5-1 after the first period. Chiefs looking for something there. Ryan Lansbury trying to score against his old team. Riley Hutchcraft kicks that one out of play. Lyle Thompson back to Lansbury. Steps in. Stopped by Hutchcraft. Rebound in front of the net. And it will be foul called against Lansbury and give Travassos and Brooklyn the ball. Quinn Highland. Off to Jack Boyden. Now Goodchild. Off the sideboards, and it gets picked up by Six Nations. Liam LeClaire. Works this one off to Sam LeClaire. Penalty coming up to Brooklyn. So Six Nations will be going to their 5th power play of the game. Hill on the bench, quick passing, and that one gets stopped. Shot clock reset here for Six Nations with possession. Now pass down to the net, and Brooklyn still playing with 6.
Yeah.
That was the penalty call,
Yeah.
was there were 6 players on the floor. Brooklyn had 6 defenders and were still letting Six Nations work it around with their 6 offensive attackers. So Nolan Ruddy goes to serve that penalty.
I mean, at that point, if you're getting called for 6, you might as well leave the 6th guy on to defend and at least make it 6 on 6. We're going to have the 5th power play opportunity now for Six Nations.
Lyle Thompson fires a shot. That gets stopped by Hutchcraft and rolls just wide to the Brooklyn net. Shot clock reset. Shot clock and game clock at the same point. Randy Stotts, pass intended for Austin Stotts, and he fired a shot that goes wide. Trapped down by Riley Hutchcraft with 16 seconds left in the period. Travassos. Fires a shot, that goes wide, starts a transition play for Six Nations. And that ends the period at the end of the game clock here. So back and forth, Brooklyn with some opportunities, but they give up as many as they score and still down by 4 after 40 minutes of play. A better second period, a little bit more undisciplined from the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, but still have a chance to come back into this one after 40 minutes of play in here.
Yeah, still down the same deficit after the second period of play, but you held Six Nations to only 2 goals. You were able to score 2 that period, so an even second period. All you got to do is do the same thing that Six Nations did in the first, but to them this time around in the third to come out with the win.
Brooklyn Lacrosse Club trying to string together 3 wins in a row, but they have a 4-goal deficit heading into the third period. We'll be back with your second intermission after the break. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV. Members of the Whitby Warriors lacrosse teams on the floor during this second intermission as the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club trails the Six Nations Chiefs 7-3 through 40 minutes of play. Andrew Osmond, Jack Moore with you here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby. And Andrew, a better second period, a little bit undisciplined from Brooklyn, but you have to feel better about how you played in the second than the first. And you're still within striking distance, down by 4 heading into the third.
Yeah, it seemed like things were a bit more even, not the disciplinary and penalty side of things, but at least from the gameplay side of things, Brooklyn was able to get a couple rebounds. The big difference there for Brooklyn was a couple of the miscues where there's chances in front of the net and the offensive players just can't control the ball to get a decent shot on net. They are able to get the ball to the front of the net and right in that slot area, which is where you want the ball to be. If you're Brooklyn, it's just mishandling those passes and then not getting those shots on net is kind of the difference maker, because those are those point-blank chances that end up being about a 50-50 shot at going in the back of the net. And if you capitalize on 2 of those, we got a much different game here as opposed to being 7-3.
Well, and really slowing down Randy Stotts, Austin Stotts, Lyle Thompson at the offensive end of the floor. Sam LeClaire has a hat trick here for Six Nations. You can't slow everybody down if you're the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, but doing a good job at slowing those guys down like they didn't do in the first period defensively, holding Six Nations to just 2 goals as opposed to 5 in that first period. In the second, how do they keep that going into the third and try and shrink it down even more in terms of the goal count?
Well, I think you got to keep going. We saw progress from that first period to the second period, and we want to see the same thing again going into the third period for Brooklyn. But the credit to Brooklyn is what they've done a good job is they played 2 games against Six Nations so far this season. Only the first game here in Brooklyn was Lyle Thompson in the lineup, and he only walked away with 1 point in that game. And you mentioned it once again, Sam LeClaire doing the heavy lifting. Not so much Austin Stotts. Yes, he's got a goal and an offensive threat in this game. Lyle Thompson as well getting some points, but it's not those guys running away with it. It's Sam LeClaire. 4 goals in 6 games on the year. He's got a hat trick here tonight. So Brooklyn is solving kind of the bigger named guys. If it's not for Sam LeClaire, this is an even game going into the third period of play. So kind of continue what you're doing, like we said, after the first period of play, and you just got to really capitalize offensively. There's been a couple of breakaways that Brooklyn didn't capitalize on the first period. The second period here, it was those point-blank chances where they just can't handle those passes and get the decent shots on net. But nonetheless, Wesley's coming through with a couple goals here tonight for Brooklyn to keep them in it. You just need more power coming from some of the bigger guys, and maybe you lose that a little bit without Kyle Waters, a big presence that could be that threat against Six Nations, against this powerhouse, strong physical team. That could be what Brooklyn's lacking here. If you got Kyle Waters in the lineup, I think we got a much different game.
We'll take a look at the highlights from period number 2 in this contest as the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club was able to get on the board to make it a 5-2 game, but then Six Nations would respond quite quickly.
And you'll see is Sean Wesley there making the play, and then after a couple offensive threats, it's Eric Fennell finally putting it past Riley Hutchcraft, who I think made 3 saves on that offensive rush. And there's Brady Kiernan, one of the Kiernan brothers, finally getting on the board after a plethora of chances. And what about that play there? We can't see that one enough from Sam Leclerc from behind the net, beating his defender off the boards, walking out in front, not even looking towards the net and just throwing that over his shoulder and behind Riley Hutchcraft.
Yeah, one of the best goals that you'll see this season in Major Series Lacrosse. Sam Leclerc putting some finesse onto the board and showing off to get the hat-trick goal in this one. And Six Nations is coming off a game last night. They have to travel to play here today, so you get the added bit of tiredness as an element, but they came out flying in the first period, and they've been able to manage and control this game very well through 40 minutes of play.
Well, some of it might be helping. We've talked about him as well because he's been on the floor and playing the game, but Ryan Lanchbury coming back here, his first game in the MSL this season, a former member of the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club last season, now playing this year as an AP with the Six Nations Chiefs on the floor. So there's a guy, he did not play last night, so there's a rested guy up here getting the minutes with the top guys, with the Stotts brothers and Lyle Thompson as well. So that helps a little bit to let your lineup breathe when you could rely on a guy like Ryan Lanchbury that, puts up the points and, had a great season last year with Brooklyn. So, you can rely on him for some minutes tonight. So you can kind of let the other big names take a bit of a breather. And we might see that coming up in the third period. If Six Nations can keep this lead, might see some of those bigger names rest up a little bit here as they got a couple more games coming up as well.
Ryan Lanchbury's been trying his best to beat his old team, but hasn't got a goal on the board. But the Six Nations Chiefs lead 7-3 through 40 minutes of play. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with your third period after this. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on RogersTV. Warren Hill having a good game between the pipes for the Six Nations Chiefs in this one, making 22 saves on 25 Brooklyn shots, and he leads his team into the third period. Still 1:17 on the power play for his Six Nations Chiefs. Riley Hutchcraft has allowed 7 goals in this one, but his team's still in it, down by 4 heading into the third period, Andrew.
Yeah, they got a chance here, and if you're Brooklyn, you got to weather the storm. You can't let one in here. You got to get a couple quickly to keep the pace of this game so you don't act a bit too frantic. You can remain controlled. So you got to kill this 1:17, keep the game where it is as best you can, and then capitalize as quickly as you can and as quickly as possible so you can get into a rhythm of the game and you don't have to be so quick on the rush and possibly make some mistakes and then you'll lose the game before you get back in it.
So first possession of the third period goes the way of the Six Nations Chiefs. Randy Stotts lines up, kicked out by Hutchcraft. And this won't be over and back because of the save. So they'll get the shot clock reset 30 seconds into this third period. Randy Stotts up top. Down low, quick passing, gets it back from Austin Stotts. Randy's shot goes wide. Rebound in behind the net, picked up by Shane Jackson. Austin Stotts down low, gets it back. Randy Stotts behind the back pass into the corner. Picked up by Sam Leclerc. Now up top, 3 to shoot. That one stopped by Hutchcraft, and he corrals the rebound. So Brooklyn with an opportunity to kill off the remainder of this Six Nations power play. They can hold on to the ball for 10 more seconds. This would put Six Nations to just 1 for 5 in this one. Pilcher back to 5-on-5. 1 for 5 on the man advantage for Six Nations in this one, but they still have a 7-3 lead as that pass gets deflected. Gets knocked away by Hill and then finally picked up by Kyle Rubish. So that's 9 of 10 penalties killed off in the last 2 games for Brooklyn. Only allowed 5 power play goals this year. Ryan Lanchbury's shot kicked out by Hutchcraft. Rebound picked up by Fennell. Lyle Thompson spins away from Highland. Now flips it in for Randy Stotts. Over the top, shouldered away by Hutchcraft. Ryan Lansbury picks up the rebound. His pass for Fennell goes over and back, and that's Brooklyn ball.
And they're going to like this here to get the ball with a fresh shot clock all the way down the floor. Here's their chance here to make it a 3-goal game once again.
Kerrigan fires a shot, just missed that far post. Rebound picked up by Brooklyn Goodchild. Off to Kerrigan. Zach Kerrigan works that one off, picked up by Connor Kiernan. Kiernan flips it off to Tyler Goodchild as it bounces through the crease, and Tyson Bell picks up and settles it down for Six Nations. Austin Stotts, fresh off the bench, has it picked off his stick, and away goes Ben McDonnell. Has a chance on a break, stopped by Warren Hill.
There's one chance for Brooklyn there. Ben McDonnell down the floor, not a usual scene for him.
He knocks another ball loose, that time knocking Brendan Bombery's stick out of his hands. So Ben McDonnell showing up early in this third period, but couldn't convert on the transition breakaway. Loose ball, Josh Taguri leaves it for Travasso, sidesteps to Six Nations defender and gets away from Austin Stotts. 3-on-1 for Brooklyn. Wesley shoots, it goes wide. Brady Kiernan into the corner for Wesley. 3.5 gone in period number 3. It's a 7-3 lead for Six Nations. Wesley, 5 to shoot. Works this one off. Pass in front of the net. Stopped by Hill. Luke Pilcher on the doorstep.
And I think he chose the wrong top corner to go to. He went far side. Should have kept with his momentum and gone far side. I think he had a bit more space over there.
Lyle Thompson, former U Albany lacrosse player in the NCAA, 2-time Twartinen Award winner. The NCAA Lacrosse Heisman Trophy for comparison. Won in 2014 and 2015. Gets to the NLL and wins an NLL MVP in 2017, the same year as Georgia Swarm win the league championship. Good guy to have on your team.
I think so. I don't disagree at all.
Devin Pfeiffer works that one off. Boyden flips it back to Pfeiffer over the top, and Hill makes that save. Warren Hill answering the call at every step here in period number 3. Austin Stotts going nose to nose with Jack Travassos. Now gets a screen, flips it in for Shane Jackson, but it rolls into the corner. Ben McDonnell will bring it up the floor. Brady Kiernan works it off for Jack Boyden. Boyden gets the screen from Pfeiffer. Looking forward again, works it off to the boards, and that gets knocked away by the Chiefs. Bombery picks up. Tim Edwards couldn't be found in transition, taken away by Kerrigan. That shot stopped by Warren Hill. Kellen LeClaire picks up the rebound. Kellen LeClaire back to Brendan Bombery. Now pass in front of the net. Thompson shoots it just wide. Lyle Thompson slow to get up in behind the Brooklyn net, but Quinn Highland in transition. 2-on-1 with Boyd. Highland shot stopped by Warren Hill.
Brooklyn getting some decent chances here to try to get back in it, but Warren Hill is up to the task. Just 3 goals on the game still for Brooklyn.
Randy Stotts fires a shot. That gets stopped by Hutchcraft between his legs. He's able to trap it down and work it off to Nolan Ruddy. Just about 6 minutes into this third period, and we have that's an over and back against Brady Kiernan. Tyson Bell gives a good hack to Kiernan, and Tyson Bell will go to the penalty box.
And he's going to get another one, I think, too, after that second whistle. Mouthing off to the ref as he heads to the box. We'll see.
Yeah, he's getting 2 for the slash and 2 for the unsportsmanlike. So Riley Hutchcraft's going to ask for a water break.
Yep, smart move. Better move.
get his team a de facto timeout as Randy Stott's getting the explanation from the referee.
So we'll still just see 2 minutes on the board. You'll see it here. After the over and back call, Brady Kiernan didn't like it. He was nowhere really near the ball, and then the hack there, not just away from the ball, but also towards the hands. So I think they are waiting to see 4 minutes possibly go up there, which is why we're waiting here. And you'll see the mouthing off, and right there's the second call as Tyson Bell heads off. And I mean, kind of a bit uncharacteristic from Tyson Bell this game. He's had a cool head. He's been involved physically and been walking away from a lot of that. So surprised to see him kind of explain himself there after that call.
Pilcher fires a shot, bounces into the crease, and Hill finds the loose ball. Pass down the floor as Boyden couldn't knock it down. Kevin Hill working against Boyd and Boyden. As Hill slips away from defenders, and that gets stopped by Riley Hutchcraft.
Good save by Riley Hutchcraft, but one you don't want him to have to make as he gets away from 2 defenders and has a great chance on net.
Luke Pilcher up top. Off to Brady Kiernan. Stopped by Hill. Rebound in front of the net. Knocked away by the Chiefs, but picked up by Brooklyn. Pass in front, and that one goes wide. Great chance there for Brooklyn, but they can't convert. 7 minutes gone in this third period. Midway through that first minor penalty for Tyson Bell. Ryan Lanchbury will get the pass. Being watched by Jordy Jones-Smith. Lanchbury, pass in front of the net, and that shot one-handed goes wide. Eric Fennell at the end of the shot clock couldn't get it to go. Sean Wesley. Luke Pilcher back to Wesley. Connor Kiernan. Pilcher. Kerrigan gets it back. Now Pilcher up top, he scores! Luke Pilcher with 12 seconds to go in the first power play opportunity gets Brooklyn back within 3, and they have one more chance, a full 2 minutes on the board as Pilcher gets his 5th of the year.
And it was Brady Kiernan cutting through the crease to get the defenders out of the way. Right here, you see it. Push them out of the way, open up that lane, and Luke Pilcher able to go over the left shoulder of our fantastic camera, John Green, behind the net. That one's on you for that great angle on that goal from Luke Pilcher.
Finally able to beat Warren Hill up top as a extra push from Justin Bragg on Jeremy Thompson will give Six Nations the ball. So big to score in the first 2 minutes of that 4-minute power play.
Yep.
So they get another full 2 minutes on the man advantage. Six Nations has the first possession of this power play for Brooklyn. So now 2 for 3 as Austin Stott's shot gets deflected wide. Randy Stott's picked up, knocked out of his cradle by Josh Taguri. It's a battle for it on the near boards. Ben McDonnell trying to fight it free. And a big fight from Josh Taguri on the big Randy Stotts. Brooklyn's bench not happy with Austin Stotts giving the extra shot at Josh Taguri at the end of the play. Luke Pilcher off to Zach Kerrigan. Kerrigan back to Pilcher. Now spinning away is Connor Kiernan, knocked out of his cradle. He kicked it up high. Loose ball is a penalty coming up here. It's going to go against Six Nations. So that shot gets stopped by Hill, and finally it will bring an end to the play. So a holding call going against Kyle Rubish will send Brooklyn to a 54-second 5-on-3. Giving a little bit of life the Chiefs are to Brooklyn.
Yep.
Just that crack that they might need to get back into this one.
Yeah, you don't want to give them a reason to get back in this game, but you're handing it to them. As we see it there, just thrown to the floor. So they get the call there, and they were ready to call play again, and Riley Hutchcraft again heading to the bench, and actually smart play by Riley Hutchcraft as well, going to the far end of the bench, which means a far trip down the floor, far trip back, lets his guys rest a little bit. Play is underway, and he's still not in the net.
Yeah, Six Nations was hoping to get a delayed game call or at least burn Brooklyn's timeout. 5-on-3 for Brooklyn. Kiernan up top. Now Pilcher's shot. That gets stopped by Hill. It did not deflect off Hill. It went straight out of play, and it's
one official
Six
said it was
Nations
on
ball.
net. Goes the way of Six Nations there on that play. And about the same time, actually, shot clock and the penalty.
Two defenders on the ball for Brooklyn trying to knock it free. Ben McDonnell and Sean Wesley. That ball does roll free onto the floor, but Six Nations able to get it back. Great play there by Liam LeClaire. So that'll kill off the first one. We're back to 5-on-4 at the end of the shot clock. It's Brooklyn ball, 7-4 Six Nations. Well, Brooklyn now 2 of 4 on the man advantage. On their 5th power play of the game, their 3rd power play of this 3rd period. Kerrigan's shot off the mask of Hill, and it rattled him.
Yeah,
He stumbled backwards immediately after taking that shot up high, and the trainer out onto the floor for Six Nations is Warren Hill, head down, walking back towards the Chiefs bench.
Yeah, he's going right down. He hasn't lifted his head higher than what it is now. He's been looking at the floor since he took that shot right off the mask. You'll see a great shot here right at the top. Yeah, and he just stays down. And Brooklyn's trying to use this time to kind of go over a couple plays, take advantage of this timeout as Warren Hill's just going to grab some water. You see him there. Shaking that off as best he can.
He will stay in the game, so he's making his way back to the Six Nations bench.
Lou Pilcher giving him a tap as well to show his appreciation for coming back in this game. And he gets to his net, stretches it out a bit, ready to go.
Warren Hill, who is at the World Lacrosse Championships for the Haudenosaunee. Pass cross floor, and Brooklyn still on the man advantage, trying to get something going. Boyden steps out. His shot gets deflected wide off to the near boards. Connor Kiernan.
And they gave him a fresh shot clock on that one.
Kiernan up top. Tyson Bell knocks it free. That's a foul against Kiernan, and it will be Six Nations ball. Would have been over and back anyhow. And with 17 seconds left on this penalty, Hill will go to the bench. So Six Nations will have 5, and then I'd imagine when player in the box comes to the bench, it'll be Hill going back to the Six Nations net. And that's what we see as Rubish steps off. Hill goes back to his net. We're 5-on-5. Pass cross floor for Lyle Thompson gets knocked away. Thompson looking forward in the corner. And a foul against Thompson will give the ball back to Brooklyn. Tyler Goodchild works it off to Devin Pfeiffer. 8:40 to go in period number 3. 7-4 Six Nations. Zach Kerrigan flips it back to Goodchild. Over the top, and it hit the post. Rebound picked up by Pfeiffer. Now Boyden. Off to Brady Kiernan. His shot gets deflected in front, and that loose ball will be picked up by Kevin Hill on the far boards. Charles Tommy Scanlon driving in with speed to the net, and he gets stopped by Riley Hutchcraft.
Big save there from Riley Hutchcraft to keep his team in it. They've had all the pressure here after those number of power plays, and that one would have just really sucked the life out of this threat.
Midway through the shot clock here for Brooklyn. Kerrigan picks up the loose ball and knocked out of his cradle. Good physical defense for Six Nations. Tyson Bell in transition. On a break, he scores! So he makes up for those 2 penalties and 1 stoppage with his 3rd of the year and makes it 8-4 Six Nations.
And we see it, just a bobbled ball again. Zach Kerrigan can't control it in the offensive zone, leading to this rush. Tyson Bell is out of the box, of course, and on that breakaway makes no mistake, and cool, calm, collected. He celebrates himself for making that goal, and now Six Nations has doubled up Brooklyn here, 8-4 with 7:35 to go.
Six Nations picks up, no they don't. Trent Boyd picks it up. It's still a battle for it as Travasso's finally the one to pick up that rolling ball. But Six Nations responds after Brooklyn had the lone goal of his 3rd period to begin the 3rd. Had some opportunities on the power play, could only convert on 1 of 3 as Hill makes another save. And away goes Six Nations in transition. Last week we saw relatively low-scoring affair, 6-3 the final in Brooklyn's win over Coburg. Ryan Lansbury pass in front of the net. Hutchcraft moving to the side, and he makes the save anyhow. Ben McDonnell works it up the floor. Connor Kiernan gets the screen from Wesley. Now pass in front of the net, and that gets stopped by Hill, and the ball bounces in the Six Nations crease and stepping back into their own crease, so it's Brooklyn ball. So good job by Tyler Goodchild on the forecheck, but really if you're Brooklyn, got to get something to go here.
Yeah, you got to get it going now, and you got to strike on almost every possession here on out, and you can't let Six Nations get one behind you.
Brady Kiernan fires a shot. Hill makes the save and scoops up the rebound. Under 6 to play here in the 3rd, 8-4 Six Nations. Austin Stott steps in, shouldered away by Hutchcraft, and Tyson Bell will slow it down. Six Nations looking for their 9th win of the season. Brooklyn has played every Wednesday at home as Randy Stott steps in and scores. He finally gets in the goal column with his 8th of the year, his team's 9th of the game, and it's 9-4 with 5.5 to play.
Randy Stott's here getting the pass from Lyle Thompson right behind the back. All the defenders well away from that play, getting fooled by Lyle Thompson, and in the small window, Randy Stotts is able to beat Riley Hutchcraft, as we'll now have a stoppage just to clean up a wet spot. And I'm actually surprised, on maybe one of the hottest days of the year here in Southern Ontario, this is the first time we're having a stoppage to wipe up the floor. The air conditioning's been pumping in here. We'll give Whitby credit for that in this arena. One that has historically been quite a humid and sticky one. Today is actually pretty comfortable in here, as well as with all these fans in attendance today.
Still hot.
It is.
It's still hot. We had the hottest day in the history of the earth the other day.
Yeah.
Right? It's been a hot week, but doing a good job of keeping it relatively cool. And as the sun set here in Whitby, the temperature outside has gone down a little bit. Six Nations gets the ball off the ensuing face-off and working it around again. Randy Stotts, who has that 9th goal of the game for the Chiefs. Six Nations in time-killing mode now as Stotts' shot gets stopped by Hutchcraft, and he's able to trap it down in the crease after Ben McDonnell knocked it back to him. Connor Kiernan looking for more offensively. As I mentioned, Brooklyn 4 games on the road, 5-team league. They play everybody on the road in the next 2 weeks. And Brady Kiernan scores, driving in and stayed out of the crease. 4.5 to go in the 3rd, and Brooklyn's back within 4.
Well, they're not going down quiet, trying to keep pace. And they've done so. After the first period, they've kept a similar pace to Six Nations. And that time there, it's Brady Kiernan's second goal of the night, getting around the defender. Ty Logan diving across the crease and beating Warren Hill, who tried to stretch out to stop it. But Brady Kiernan gets that one in. And it's now 9-5, a 4-goal game here with 4:30 to go. Travassos on the draw. Taking on Jeremy Thompson. As we just wait to head off to wipe the floor, and we're good to go.
So Brooklyn gets something going, and now it's Devin Pfeiffer with possession. So like we said, it needs to happen quick for Brooklyn if they want a chance in this one. But they have possession here. Can they do anything with it? Pfeiffer. Into the corner for Sean Leslie. Boyded to Goodchild. His shot, that goes right into the stomach of Zach Kerrigan, who then takes a stick up high from Jeremy Thompson as he was down on the floor. Thompson was trying to knock that ball free from inside Kerrigan's midsection.
Yeah, adding insult to injury, he blocks the shot. You'll see Kerrigan kind of on the bottom right of your screen here. The shot coming in from Tyler Goodchild. Boom, right there. Right in the midsection of Zach Kerrigan, who's down, and then coming in with a bit of a jab, or a big one, is Tyson Bell, as well as Jeremy Thompson. So add insult to injury. Zach Kerrigan still down to the right of your screen. Talking with the trainer there. Maybe a bit winded on the shot. Not a lot of padding there in a lacrosse uniform. Right in that midsection. You got the big shoulder pads, elbow pads, and gloves. Not so much around the midsection. And getting one of those lacrosse balls is not going to be comfortable. He's going to head off and head right down the tunnel, it looks like, for maybe the game, or just to kind of walk it off underneath us here.
So Six Nations with possession offensively. Austin Stotts, cross-floor pass, gets knocked down, and Hutchcraft finds the loose ball and flips it up to Boyd. It gets taken away by Austin Stotts, and it's a 3-on-1 for Six Nations. Stotts, who has his stick whacked right as he was trying to pass it by Trent Boyd. Brady Kiernan staying in the Six Nations zone, so 4-on-4. Bragg onto the floor as Kiernan gets back. Austin Stotts trying to step away, holding possession of the ball while he's getting whacked with just one hand. Ball bounces off the boards. Randy Stotts knocks it away from Taguri. Austin Stotts' shot gets stopped. Say that 3 times fast. Now here goes Bragg in transition. A penalty coming up to Six Nations. Quick passing. Kiernan scores. That's the hat trick for Brady Kiernan. And Austin Stotts is still going to the box for an unsportsmanlike penalty. So Brooklyn, down by 3 now, is going to the power play.
And he's still talking. See if he gets yet another one or an ejection. I think they're confirming what the call's going to be. But nonetheless, here down, going the floor, pushing the pace. Brady Kiernan right in front, all alone against Warren Hill. Gets the hat trick goal. Makes it a 3-goal game. We've said that a few times. Austin Stotts in the box. We're going to see for how much time. The official's talking it over with the timekeeper now.
Well, he had the delayed penalty. I believe the delayed penalty was going against Austin Stotts.
Yeah, this Six Nations team, man, they're a powerhouse, but those penalty minutes rack up quick. And kind of without reason as well tonight. There's been a couple where it's just chirping a bit too much. They've had a substantial lead for much of this game. This is the closest it's been, a 3-goal deficit. And he's getting 4 minutes, so it is a double minor. And is a timeout being called or something?
I think they're clarifying that he got 2 penalties, but only one is going on the board because of the goal that was scored.
Okay. Yeah, they're holding 2 fingers up there, so yeah, trying to say 2 minutes. So just correcting. The clock here.
Connor Kiernan will get us restarted. But again, Brooklyn gets within that 3-goal buffer. And then that's when Six Nations has responded, started to take over again.
Austin Stotts just wants his name all over this game sheet. 1 goal, 2 assists so far. Now having, I believe, 4 penalty minutes now.
Hey, you know what? When you score 30 goals in 8 games with 8 assists at the World Championships, your first game back last night, you have a goal and 6 assists. You're just used to your name being all over the stat sheet.
Yeah, no matter how. So they're going to get it right. They have it right now. 2 minutes to Stotts, who's actually sitting rather comfortably on the edge of the penalty box boards there.
So we're back underway here. Brooklyn on the power play for the 6th time. They're 2 for 5 in this game. Just under 3 minutes to play and down by 3. Pass into the corner, bounces off the wall, and Hill will stretch the floor for Tyson Bell. It goes straight into the rafters, so it's going to be Brooklyn ball.
So another fresh shot clock, 30 seconds for Brooklyn.
Well, time is more advantageous for you if you're Six Nations than trying to get another one. Killing off as much as possible, so you'd think that there'll probably be a conversation John Tavares will have with his goaltender. Again, just came back from the World Lacrosse Championships that were outdoors, so he didn't have that problem. Brooklyn moving it around. Pilcher scores. 2-goal game. Luke Pilcher with 2:20 to go in the 3rd.
Brooklyn chipping away at this lead, 9-7 now. Pilcher, his 2nd goal of the game here, this one on the power play, 3rd time for Brooklyn. Far side, Warren Hill just can't stretch across quick enough to get in front of that shot, and there was plenty of net for Luke Pilcher to work with. And we got Travasos on the draw here, going up against Tim Edwards. A big one here if Brooklyn can get it.
Possession is massive, and this one rolls all the way back into the Six Nations end, and Warren Hill will settle it down. These two teams have had a combined goal differential of 0, and that is a backcourt violation against Six Nations. They didn't get it over center floor quick enough, so it'll be Brooklyn ball. So instead of killing off 30 seconds, they only kill off 10. So Brooklyn with a chance here is Hutchcraft off to the bench, 6-on-5. 1:54 to go in the 3rd, 9-7 game in favor of the Six Nations Chiefs. Tyler Goodchild works it off to Pilcher. Now it's Connor Kiernan stepping in over the top. That one goes wide. Kyle Rubish on the rebound. Hutchcraft back into the net. It's Tyson Bell stepping in. He shoots it wide. Now Randy Stotts gets knocked off the ball, but picked up by Fennell. Loose ball picked up by Bell. Now it's Randy Stotts up top for Lyle Thompson. 80 seconds to go in the 3rd period. Fennell spinning away from McDonnell. One-handed shot gets stopped by Hutchcraft, and Josh Taguri picks up the rebound and runs away with speed from Lyle Thompson. Luke Pilcher as Hutchcraft goes back to the Brooklyn bench. 1 minute to play in the 3rd. Connor Kiernan gives it to Brady, and Brady's up top. Brady Kiernan looking for a lane. Into the middle. That shot gets turned away. Boyden. Shot clock reset for Brooklyn. Connor Kiernan. Off to Brady Kiernan. Under 40 seconds to play. Brooklyn needs 2 to tie it. Pass in front of the net. Pilcher shot wide. Rebound. Stopped by Hill. Contorted himself to make that save.
And we're going to have to force a turnover here. Brooklyn is.
20 seconds to go in the 3rd period as Jordy Jones-Smith trying to chase down that loose ball. And Six Nations content with just running out the clock. Tyson Bell with less than 10 to play in the 3rd. Countdown is on. The Six Nations Chiefs will move to 9-2 on the season. their second win against the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club so far this year, their first win at the Iroquois Park Sports Center after losing 11-5 earlier this season. Brooklyn close, but no cigar, too little too late on those opportunities, just couldn't convert, but they fall 9-7, so a respective score against one of the top teams in Senior A lacrosse.
And you got to be pleased the second period and the third period combined, you outscore 6-4 against this Six Nations team over those two periods. These teams will meet one more time this season, that game taking place in Six Nations, part of the next 4 games on the road for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. They fall to 500 at 4 wins and 4 losses on the season. Six Nations improves and just extends their lead in the MSL standings.
Yeah, they're top of the table in Major Series Lacrosse. 9-7 win here today. Remember, there is no Brooklyn home game next week on July 12th, so the next home game will be against the Cobra Kodiaks on July 19th at 8 p.m. That is here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center, and you can join us for the action on Rogers TV. For Andrew Osmond, John Green, our producer, and an entire phenomenal crew here at Rogers TV Durham, I'm Jack Moore saying good night from Whitby.